G'day, Steve Morgan, Fishing Monthly magazine out on Moreton Bay with Matt from John Crawford Marine. And Matt, you are Mr. Arvor in Brisbane. Arvor, very European looking boat. Give us Arvor 101 because I see lots of them in Sydney, but I haven't seen many of them in this part of the world.
Yeah, look, surprisingly, John Crawford Marine's been part of the Arvor family since 1999, 2000, when the Arvor 20 first hit the market as a shaft drive diesel. And Arvor's philosophy, still to this day, is giving the market a very practical fishing boat. Self-draining decks, lock-up wheelhouse, and a very user-friendly and affordable fishing boat.
And I think you could probably add family-friendly into that because you've got the enclosed cabin on this boat, and it doesn't matter how nasty it is out there, whether it's rough, whether it's rain, you can get out of it and in comfort.
Absolutely. Look, today's a pretty calm day, so we're not really getting to push it through its paces. But the Arvor design team are making a boat, effectively this particular boat, no hold back. It is a sports fishing vessel, but it still has those creature comforts that allow a bit of a family day on the water. So you can option them up with a refrigerator, a toilet with a holding tank. We've got a V-berth up the front for the kids, and yet at the back, plenty of shade and user-friendly features.
I think in Queensland especially we love the shade, especially the shade that telescopes out over the fishing area. But let's reverse a little bit. Arvor, the brand itself, owns by Brunswick Corporation, massive global brand, which means it's going to be a quality rig.
That's right. Look, we're seeing this vertical integration come through the marine industry now, where Brunswick are putting motors, componentry, and ownership of the manufacturing process all together. And what that basically drives down is the price. So the consumer ultimately gets latest innovation, technology, latest trends at an affordable price.
Let's talk about the rig we're here today. You turned up this morning towing it with your Landcruiser. Yep. She's a big rig to tow. Tell us what the hull is, what the motor is, and some of the specs.
Absolutely. So the boat effectively is modelled as a 705. It's a 6.8 metre hull, rated to a class-leading power of 225 horsepower. As we've had a bit of a play today, 225 is like grease lightning on this thing.
Yep.
So the horsepower can start at 150, or you can go out to maximum power of 225. The most important thing when we're towing these boats is that we're trying to and showing that they are towable. They're towable under the 3.5 tonne rated limit, and you can choose either an aluminium trailer or a steel trailer and still stay within your limits very safely. Full tank of fuel, full tank of water on board the boat.
That's right. We all like loading the boats up to go away for a weekend, and keeping it under that 3.5 tonne is very important. There are more and more compliance checks on the road nowadays, and of course the liability. You don't want to ever overload or have overweight tow happening behind your car.
Absolutely. Look, and I think one of the things that we all need to take a responsibility with, and certainly John Crawford Marine and Arvor do, is that depending on where our market is, depending on what the boat's going to be used for. Now, the Sydney, New South Wales market is quite specific. It's 50-50 almost with trailering or being moored in the waterways. Whereas Queensland, we've got probably the biggest, the East Coast, we find most of our customers are trailering their boats. So John Crawford Marine takes quite a responsible approach to that. So from an over-width perspective with the flags or coming back to their tow weights, making sure the consumer is aware of, hey, did I think of this? My ute's got all these accessories fitted to it. What's the GCVM potentially? So it is a complex matter, and I think the caravan industry and the forward drive industry and the marine industry really are starting to take that a little bit more seriously and then give the consumer a better outcome and a safer outcome.
Let's drag it back to the boat. It seems that everything built on this boat's built pretty tough. Like these folding seats are the strongest ones I think I've ever seen, and they're made for big Aussies can handle them. Yeah,
look, I'm no slouch. I'm no small person, but yeah, they are solid. And the other great thing is not everyone might be my size, in strength, I suppose, to move things around. But that's quite an easy chair, fully retractable, to pull out, even for a 10-year-old child. So the design concept again comes back to that practicality, yet user friendliness. So it's all great having lots and lots of options, but if they're not actually practical, what use really are they?
Tell us a little bit about the hull shape. These European boats carry the beam and carry the depth a long way forward. Ride probably a little different to most Aussie boats. Aussie boats tend to their rake is it hangs back, it sort of cuts through the wave. These more push through the water and give you maximum space. Tell me that theory.
Exactly. Look, the design team from Arvor make absolutely no excuses about the design. We are not here to say in any way, shape or form that we have the softest riding hull. But what I can give you is a hull that at rest has superior stability, which is what you need when you're jigging or you're fishing or you're at anchor having lunch. But the volume is important. So with the fully enclosed wheelhouse, if we do push a bit of spray forward because because of the very blunt bow. Well, you're fully enclosed in a wheelhouse. You've got dual windscreen wipers, you've got access hatches and doors to open or close. But what it does up the front, rather than having this big long snout, we now have a nice beam that right up to the carries forward, which gives us more interior volume.
Yep.
More interior volume. Things like a toilet can now have a holding tank, so we can have to take some environmental responsibility rather than pumping out. We can also get a slightly bigger V-berth up the front as well for the kids to have a lay down or whatever.
So Matt, one of the things you mentioned earlier is this boat can be very easy to access, both on the trailer but also on the water in a marina situation.
Yeah, that's right. Look, the Arvor 705's got some amazing options and standard features that make boating simpler for either the new boatie or maybe the more senior person with limited mobility. So things like the bow thruster allow you to sort of manhandle the boat quite easily in limited confined waterways. 3 access points to the wheelhouse and for ventilation, but also jumping out for mooring. And the cockpit, really high internal freeboard, tow rails for safety and stability, and really good access points in the transom via dual transom doors.
And they haven't forgotten about people on the trailer either, because there's a 4-rung ladder there and it's easy to get in on and off. And this is a high boat on the trailer.
It is, yeah. Look, this is quite a large vessel and for trailering, but also for those people that might be leaving it on an air berth or dry rack storing, just user friendly again. So it can sort of do both jobs quite well. Another thing that we're really, really impressed with these new generation Mercury V6s on this package is the access to checking the engine oil via the top of the roof hatch, being able to take the cowl cover off with a lever, and also Arvor have very carefully put the battery switching in position so that either the boat's moored or if it's on a trailer, it's really easy to turn the batteries on and off. So just design features that come with experience, time, and also listening to feedback.
It sure is a whole lot of boat in a short length, these Arvors, and of course we've had it on the water. We're going to show you a little bit of that running around, doing the Moreton Bay things that we do, and going to come back to you with some performance statistics. So there you go, that's what the Arvor 705 Sportfish model looks like out on the water on Moreton Bay. Wasn't a very serious day on Moreton Bay today, no big white caps or swells. Give us a hammering for it in the comments, you do it all the time anyway. But it was powered by this V6 Mercury. It's a 3.4 litre, 225 horsepower outboard, and I've got some performance stats for you that we're going to talk about in a while. But firstly, how do you like the look of the Arvor? It's a real distinctive European styling. Those guys take the beam a long way forward, they take the depth a long way forward, and they make it a real cruising boat. Quite good economy for its 200 litre fuel tank. What I love about it, got self-draining decks. It means that it floats like a cork. When we're filming towards the boat, it seems like your foot level is a fair way above the waterline. So any water you cop in the boat's going to drain straight out. And it's built for fishing. There's no carpet, there's no sea deck in the back. It's just all of the anti-skid fiberglass in the back. maintenance with the garden hose. When you catch your fish, I really like the little offset kill wells. They're plumbed to the outside, they pump in and out like a live well, they drain straight into the ocean, so if you're bleeding a fish you can do it localised in that location, no mess, before you throw it in the ice. I like the lockable wheelhouse, so if you're going to go away for a trip, whether it's on the trailer or on the water, you can put all of your gear inside, lock all of those doors and your boat is secure. Even if you're storing it in like a dry storage rack or at the back of your house at a pontoon, it's going to be safe to keep all of your expensive fishing gear in there. And I do like the 3 doors. You see a lot of pilot house boats just have that rear door. These 2 sliding doors are actually a really good option. You may not have noticed in the video, but this has got an offset cabin or offset wheelhouse, and on the port side it's actually quite narrow. You can see on the cutaway here as we walk around the boat, the port side's quite narrow but the starboard side is quite wide, and you can walk up there normally, and that's because most of the time when you're parking your boat you're going to be parking at the starboard side against the marina or against the dock. I suppose that's the level that these guys think out what they do. I suppose some of the things I didn't like on it, just little things like no check on the transom door. The cabin door itself seems a little bit superfluous because everything else is lockable. You don't need a big hard door in there. Maybe a little curtain or something would make it a little bit more accessible. But overall build quality seems great in this rig. And I like the fact that all of the big heavy hatches have not just one but a couple of gas struts on them to help you lift and drop those lids. Like the bait station that the guys from John Crawford Marine have thrown on the back there, it's not too wide, it's not too narrow. It's got the salt water washdown pump there, and that complements the freshwater washdown pump, which is in the transom of the boat. Nothing like getting out for a swim, having a freshwater washdown to make yourself feel great out in the water. But that is an Australian-made extra, that base station on the back. Let's talk about the economy. Most economical speed was 41 kilometres an hour at 4,000 RPM, where it got 1.37 kilometres per litre burned. If you put the DTS all the way to the floor, it gets 63 kilometres an hour at 5,500 RPM, but getting just under 900 metres per litre. So like all rigs, regardless of the hull shape, keep it down to cruising speed and your economy is going to get much better. This boat has a 200 litre underfloor fuel tank, and with most economical cruising range gives you around 250 kilometres of range, which is plenty enough for a lot of day trips or overnight trips to your local reef or local bit of fishing water. This is running the 15-inch stainless steel Mercury Inertia prop, and it's seen to be propped perfectly with the wide open revs at 5,500 RPM. How much do one of the Arvors cost is the question that a lot of you always want to ask. Well, as tested, this one here comes in at $174,000. Now that's with the maximum horsepower on the back, which is 225. You can buy this rig powered by the 3 litre 150 horsepower Mercury, and to be honest, the hull type suits smaller horsepowers. But we Aussies, we like to throw the big one on the back, and that's what it costs. Prices for this package start from $120,000 with the smaller motor. You might want to keep this boat in dry storage on your dock out the back of the house. Without the trailer, it brings down the cost a lot. Any more information you want to talk to these guys, talk to Matt if you're in Queensland. He's Queensland's only Arvor dealer. He's at John Crawford Marine. But for information about this boat and all of the Australian imported Arvor range, arvor.com.au, or like their Facebook page, Arvor Boats Australia, for all of the latest models that are coming in. But until next time, Steve Morgan checking out from testing a great looking and great performing European boat.